Okay, looks like we've got a good number of people joining us. So thank you everybody for taking some time out of your Friday to join the Lytho Lowdown Live. For those of you who this might be your first time attending, this is our once a month session where we get the opportunity to show you kind of everything that we've been doing over the previous month, and some best practices around that. And you get the chance to ask us really any questions that you might have. And so to that, as you have questions, go ahead and pop them into that Q&A section, and we will get to all of them. And even if you have a random question that isn't about what we're currently discussing, we would definitely love to answer that and go through whatever you might want to. And I am lucky to be joined today by Stephanie Hausner. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
Yay. And we have, as always, a fun-filled agenda for you guys today. So first up, we're going to be on the workflow side of things, where you now have the ability to view request custom field information within request custom views. This means that your acceptors and requesters can view and filter by that custom data that you're tracking from the request level. So we're going to go over some best practice views for bringing in that data. And then we're going to hop over to the DAM to show a brand new feature that your designers are going to love. The LinkSync Connector is an add-on to the DAM plugin that prevents broken and missing links and basically keeps your designers in sync. And so, without further ado, I'm going to pass the mic over to Stephanie, who's going to take us through all of this goodness.
Right. Let me just start sharing my screen. So we're going to start out with those um, request views. So with this new ability, I can now bring in custom fields into my request view. And like Natalie mentioned, this is going to be applicable not just to your team members, but also to your stakeholders. And what that means is that they'll be able to bring in the information that's very specific about their request. The custom fields, as you know, are ways that you can track data throughout your site and do reporting on the data in ways that are very custom and bespoke just to you and to your use cases. So a stakeholder might use this if they're trying to see how many requests they've sent on a particular brand, just for example. I just wanted you to kind of keep that in the back of your mind that what I'm about to show you is also applicable to stakeholders. When I'm showing this to you right now, I'm going to take it from the approach of this being one of your Lytho admins who's now looking at this, but just know this also applies to your stakeholders as well. So I'm in my request area. I'm going to clear out my filters so I can see everything. And this is showing me all the requests that have come through in this account. I want to view these now in a table because I want to bring in columns that relate to those custom views or custom fields. So let's see here. I'm going to start now filtering this. I'm going to filter first by request form. This is something that we recently allowed you to do, is to be able to filter based on the request forms that you have in your account. So I've got this one request form that is this update to existing collateral. As you might have noticed, I had a lot of different request forms in there, so I was just able to search by typing in a couple of letters. So I'm going to click on this and apply this filter. Now I'm only seeing 8 different requests that have come through. Some of these have been submitted, other ones are in draft. I want right now to look at just the ones that have been submitted. So I'm going to do another filter, and I'm going to filter now based on their request status. Request status, I only want to see the ones that are submitted. I don't care about the ones that are in draft at this moment. So here I'm seeing those requests that are waiting for me to either approve or decline them. As you know, when you have requests that come in, if you decline them, they don't get deleted. They just go back to your stakeholders for them to be able to continue to revise. But here I see those different submitted requests. Now I want to customize the way this is looking because I want to bring in some other columns. Here's the columns that I currently have set up in my view. At this point, I don't care about tags. I'm just going to clean this up a little bit to make some space. I want to bring in one of my custom fields. So I could either scroll down here and select the custom fields that I have. They're just mixed in with all the other default system data items that are in here. Or I could up here in the search bar start to type. So I know I'm looking for information around rush requests. This rush reason and rush request are specific to this demo account because again, these custom fields are going to be very specific to you and your use cases. I want to know which ones of these are rush requests, and then I also want to see this rush reason. So these are fields that I had set up in my account settings, and I also had them on the request form. So when the stakeholders were filling out the request form, they selected the rush request, and then they added in the reason. So this gives me a quick at a glance like information about what's going on with these request forms. So when I'm coming in, checking my like request form inbox, I can quickly go to the ones that are the rush requests and I can see the reason. So that helps me act even more quickly on accepting those rush requests. I also might want to bring in information about like maybe the department that was submitting these. So that's bringing in this column here. A lot of customers also track different brands. So maybe I want to track the brand that this request is associated with. So I'm also able to bring in other custom fields like that.
Love it. And I feel like this gives you that quick at a glance. Like if you know that one department is going through, a rush campaign or rush project, you can, look at those requests, know exactly what it is, where it's coming from, and really know what to prioritize.
Yeah, totally. I'm curious if anybody does want to like add to the Q&A, like, if you've got ideas that are coming up for you in different custom fields that you might want to see in your request area. I always love hearing from the customers and how you might use these different things or problems it might solve for you. So if you've got thoughts, I'd love to hear those.
Absolutely. And then, on the requester side for this, the same custom view for that requester, they can come in and they can filter by the brand or the department to kind of see, if they want to duplicate a request or what they've done in the past. Same thing with their rush requests, so they can easily kind of keep track of when those are going to, be complete. So really, I think the same custom view is just as impactful for those requesters.
Totally. I see a question from Maureen. When sorting by a date, does it also sort by a timestamp that we can't see? So I want to bring in a couple other columns around dates because there's a few dates that you might want to consider. So, and also integrated into this, here are some of the custom field dates that I've got. So the ones that are system dates are going to be the accepted date. That's going to be when you accept the request. The completed date, created date, that's when the request is created. There's proof date, launch date. These ones here, these are custom fields. Original due date, that's if the due date does shift on the request after it's been accepted. And then the submitted date for when the requester submitted their request. I'm going to just bring in a couple of these so you can kind of see what those dates look like.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we're going to have any data for, yeah, launch date would be a custom field.
Mhm. So due date, that's going to be set by the requester. The submitted date, that's an auto-generated date for when they submitted the request. And then the created date is for when they created the request. So they might have created their request and done some tweaking on it and then submitted it later. So those are the timestamps that maybe you don't see, but you can bring them in this way and then sort like that. Um, I hope that answers your question, Maureen. Let me know if you've got any follow-ups.
Right. We've got a good question from Steve. Can stakeholders share their custom views?
Got you. Okay, let me go to my account settings and we'll check out the roles and permissions. So this is something I can see because I am an admin. So in this demo account, the default role is this reviewer. Let's check out the permissions that they have. Um, so manage request sharing. This, it depends on whether or not you've got this toggled on for those users. So that users with this permission can manage a request with any other user in the account by sharing the menu or at mentioning in the request comments. That's how you would share the request itself. I think you're talking about sharing the custom view though. So if you've got that turned on in your features, custom view, I thought the custom view sharing was here at the feature level. But I am currently blanking on that. I think we can take that as a follow-up. I believe the answer is yes, that your stakeholders would be able to share their views as well if you've got that shared custom view turned on in your account.
Yeah, and Steph, I think it's going to be under roles and permissions to give those users the
Oh, I see.
ability.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I take it back then because like this share custom view is under the team member. Um, Thank you for saving me there, Natalie. I was feeling a bit sweaty in the palms for a second. But here I see that I don't have that ability for those stakeholders. So just your team members would be able to share the custom views. So your team members, they could set up those custom views and then share them with the stakeholders if they wanted to. Um, but no, the answer is no. Your stakeholders cannot share their custom views with other people. So
Thank you, Steph. And
yeah.
follow up to Maureen's question. So the secondary question to that. So with custom dates, there isn't a timestamp behind the scenes. And that answer is no. So you can have due dates and due times, and it will sort by that timestamp, but there are no time custom views. So you won't see sorting by timestamp with those custom fields. And somebody did bring to my attention that this is a good chance to talk about multi-sorting. I'm not sure how many people are familiar with that, and I don't know, Steph, if that's something that you're able to demo, but holding Shift and pressing other columns will allow you to multi-sort.
Let's do that. So I'm going to bring in a couple of those dates again. So just to like Maureen's point, there might be other dates that you're trying to sort by. I've got due dates. Let's see, maybe the submitted date. That's not launch date. I'm just looking to see if there's any content in these here. Okay, so we'll do that. So I'm sorting here first. Oh, maybe I want to also do a rush request. Maybe I want to search first by the rush request. I'm going to just add that filter back on for the request form that I've been using. Then status. All right, so maybe I want to search first by the rush request. I'm searching first by this, and then maybe I want to search secondarily by the due date. So to Natalie's point, I'm holding shift down on my keyboard. And so that's searching first now by that rush request, and then secondarily by the due date. Um, I can continue to like refine that. I don't have many items that are like showing up right now. There's only 5 that are in here, but that's just, yeah, that's a great like next level sort of tip.
Mhm.
I love that.
Yes, love that pro tip. Um,
Oh, interesting. Sorry, I was just
Okay.
reading Maureen's comment there.
Yeah, I'm not totally sure, Marine, but we'll reach out and take a look at what you're looking at to see if we can see what's going on with that sorting.
I'll just say again, is like as far as the sorting goes, I'm gonna just like click once. The if I wanted to sort it top to bottom, I click like this, and then I click again, and then it sorts bottom to top. So that's maybe I don't know if that's gonna answer your question, but maybe try messing around with that and like giving it a second click, see if that sorts it the way that you're expecting to see it.
Okay. Well, I don't see any other questions coming in about the custom fields or views. I'm excited to see some of the custom views everybody creates. But so now we're going to hop over to the DAM side of things to talk about the Litho LinkSync connector for Adobe InDesign.
Great. Let me just get this teed up here. All right, so let's talk about the LinkSync Connector. I am really excited about this new add-on that we have for the DAM. Before coming to Litho, I was a designer and I used to live and breathe in InDesign. It was like this, yeah, the air that I breathe. I was in this tool all the time. When you are sharing documents between team members or even devices, you can run into the issue of broken links where maybe somebody has an asset saved to their desktop. Um, and if you then try to access the InDesign file and the asset it's trying to link to is not available, you get a broken link, which really interrupts the whole flow that you might be trying to get into, which is really important for creatives when you're trying to be productive and effective with your time. Having those sort of interruptions where things don't work the way you expect them to. As an example, like when InDesign decides to stop working for you, things like that just are really disruptive to your flow. So now with the Adobe LinkSync Connector add-on that we have, when you access your assets via the DAM, it's going to be referencing the DAM to make sure you've got the latest version of the asset. And it just reestablishes the DAM as that single source of truth. This is helpful not just for designers. I know I'm kind of coming at this from the perspective of having been a designer, but it's also really helpful for the project managers when they're having to reassign work across their team. They don't have to worry about making sure that their team members have exactly what they need to get started on their work. If every designer has the LinkSync connector add-on, they'll know that people will be able to access the assets that they need. So I wanted to show you, this is an example of an asset that I'm working on. I've got this lovely photo of this cute little boy in this. I know this is being linked to using the LinkSync connector because I'm looking at this path name here. If this was saved to my hard drive, it would have a link to my hard drive here. Instead, it's linking to the DAM. It's giving me that URL. So I have the DAM plugin already installed on my computer so I can place assets from the DAM, and I have the connector now, and I've already activated this. So the assets that I have linked to in my DAM are now utilizing that LinkSync connector. So what this means for you is if I were to make a version of this asset in the DAM, I'll know that I'm getting the latest version. Let's check this out in action. So I'm going to come over to my DAM. I got this picture here, and this asset has some different versions. So what if I want to use a different version of this asset? I could upload my own version from my desktop, or I could view the versions that already exist. And so maybe I got this other picture of a different kid. Let's set this one as the active version. And so now when I come back over to InDesign, I'll get this notification. Um, this file is not accessible. Um, this is just an example of my computer having a tough time at the end of the day on Friday. Um, But now, there we go. It just took it a second to kind of connect there. Now I get this notification to let me know that that asset has been modified. So when I double click on this, it's going to update it to the most recent version of that asset in the DAM. So that just helps me ensure that I've got the DAM as my single source of truth and that I'm referencing the latest version of my assets. This is going to be a really helpful tool for your designers. They're going to love knowing that they've got the latest version of the assets. Um, yeah, the LinkSync connector.
I love it, and love that you pointed out that it maintains the dam as that single source of truth, that it really needs to be, and ensuring that your designers are always using the most up-to-date assets, which prevents rework, also allows them to share work, share workloads. Um, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, because previously without the connector, you could do like a pull once from the dam, but the dam isn't like a server where it's constantly syncing to make sure that you've got the latest version. That's what this LinkSync connector does, is it takes it to the next level where it is referencing the dam again to make sure that you've got the latest version of the asset. I see a comment from Scott Schwartz. I would love to set up a time to connect on reports and custom fields. Could someone reach out offline, please? Absolutely. We'll make sure that your CSM follows up with you. An anonymous attendee. Oh, that's so helpful. We currently use our internal server and it's broken links galore. Yeah, that's super frustrating. And with this, you'll make sure that you've got the latest links, and it also helps if you have like a computer at your office and then maybe you've got a desktop, or sorry, like a laptop at home. You've got two different devices. If you had the LinkSync connector, you wouldn't have to make sure that you're like sharing those assets with yourself if you were planning on doing some work on your device at home.
I'm also going to pop a link in the chat for anybody who wants to learn a little bit more about the LinkSync connector. And we're always happy to, of course, show you how this add-on can benefit your current process. And gonna give it just a minute for any questions about this to come through, or anything else that you guys might want to talk about. We've definitely had a lot of great.
Oh, sorry, I was like mumbling to myself. I was just reading
It's okay.
Scott's question. Can you access the other versions of an asset via InDesign and the connector, or only the current version? It's just going to be that current version. So like via the connector, you would not be accessing the other versions of that asset. Just be the latest one.
Mhm.
Just make sure that everybody's like using the same thing.
Yeah. Is there any reason a designer would want or need to go back to a previous version?
If you did want to go back to a previous version, it's very easy to manage those other versions. I think maybe Scott's thought is like maybe different designers want to use different versions. So like in this case, maybe one designer wanted to use like this kid and another designer wanted to use that kid. And if there's only like one version that's available at a time, I could see like maybe that is what Scott has in his head. I don't know, Scott, maybe you've got other thoughts. You could put them in the, okay, yeah, yes, exactly. Yeah, and in this case, like, I don't know that this is really the best example of like versioning an asset because this is a totally different kid. Like, this kid's like in a hospital bed, this kid's like getting a checkup. It's usually when you version assets, it's the same asset and there's like an update to it. And you've decided that you want to go forward with a particular version as opposed to like a completely different picture altogether. Um,
Yeah, I'd say that you're almost saying that we no longer want to use that previous
yeah,
version. So,
yeah.
um, perfect.
Like good thinking. I love that sort of like next level thinking about how you might use the LinkSync connector. Um, I know Natalie's asked this a couple times, but if there are other questions that you all have, while we're here, we're happy to like chat through those things with you. Does the DAM have references to alt asset versions, like alternative asset versions?
Hmm.
So I guess like I can see these other versions that I have here. I can compare the metadata. So it's giving me some like very detailed information about each of those different versions. Um, so items in red are from
Oh, I think, Scott, you might be thinking of related assets is
Gotcha.
what I believe we call it in the dam.
There's okay, that's a great question. And thanks for calling it out, Natalie. There's like a few things. There's like the variance. I wonder if that might be a thing too. And then there's also the related assets. So let's I'm just gonna okay, gotcha. Take the time to talk through that. I'm so glad you discerned that, Natalie. So I can add in related assets here. And this related assets, this is not going to be something that you would see in the LinkSync connector. Um, but I could come in here and I could find assets that I feel are related. Let's see here. Maybe this is around like healthcare. So maybe I want to search, find assets that are related to healthcare. Maybe this was like the same photographer, and for whatever reason, I feel like it's important for people to know those assets are related. This is sort of like not going around like tags necessarily, but I could add those assets as related. So now when I click on this asset, if I'm looking at the details of this asset, I see the other items that are related to this asset here. So this is just a cool way to sort of take the dam to the next level and show your stakeholders and users what assets are related. To be clear, since we're talking about the context of the LinkSync connector, you wouldn't see any of this within the LinkSync connector, but go back to this one. I'm going to unlink those. So that's the related assets. And then the other option would be this add variants. And then this gives you the ability to upload from your desktop variants. And some use cases I've seen for this is like if you have this for digital use, but you want to have like a high res version for print use, you could add those variants in, and it might be this exact same picture, but high res. And then for CMYK use, you might have a black and white version, a variant of it that you might want to update there. I see a question from Bob Budnick. Does Litho's LinkSync connector work for Photoshop and Illustrator? No, sorry, Bob. It only works for InDesign. So good question there. Yeah, wonder what
All
else I can
right.
do
Those
here.
were some fun questions. I like digging into the dam a little bit further. We don't always get to do that in these.
Me too. I really love the dam. Natalie, you and I were just talking about that. I don't know if it's because it's like visual and you're working with pictures, but I do get really excited in getting to show people the dam and some of those next level questions. So thank you, Scott, for those questions and giving me that opportunity to kind of showcase a little bit more what the dam can do.
Okay. Well, it doesn't look like we have any more questions coming in at the moment. Thank you, Scott. And it's good to hear from you. Gonna need to make a trip to New York City soon to come say hi again. Love it. Um, all right. Well, thank you all so much for taking some time on your Friday to come hang out with us and let us show you, all the goodness that we released over the previous month. As always, if you have any questions, if you want to dig into the LinkSync connector more, or if you want to, maybe figure out how to up your custom field game for custom views, definitely reach out to us. And otherwise, we will see you next month. All right. And thank you, Stephanie, for joining me.
Yeah, happy to see you all.
Bye.
Bye bye.